And the Spaniards love racing, and I'm sure all of them are here watching Eurosport.
So here is the 39 car coming in. We suspect it was going to be that car. Andrew Gilbert Scott, Ray Bellum and Masanori Sakaya. Sakaya, of course, the man who won Le Mans here in 1995, and they are in 5th place at the moment as they change drivers. Getting out is Sakaya, and getting in probably, I should think it will be Andrew Gilbert Scott, because I was talking to the pit a little while ago. Oh, and we have a big accident. Oh, this is a big one.
Oh,
it's the
God.
62 car. Tommy Archer, Sawyer Ayari and Mark Douay, and in fact it is Sawyer Ayari who gets out, and the car's well ablaze, but he is okay.
Drama indeed there, Mark, with the car really went up very quickly, but remember that's the car that's been leading GT2 for virtually the entire race so far. We were just talking about how well it had been going, lying in 18th place overall, and suddenly after a very successful run, drama after 5 hours and 20 minutes here at Le Mans. That really is the most dramatic exit that we've seen so far. We've seen one or two spins, we've seen one or two pull off at the side of the track, but that's Chrysler Viper. Look, the fire just does not want to be put out at all. Great job from the marshals. They are throwing all the fire extinguishing they can at it, but it just keeps reigniting. Look at that again.
Yeah, well, the fuel tank
heat
is totally ruptured. It's just coming out. I mean, even we got bag tanks. The impact of that strength. The fuel tanks are here in the back of the car. I think they're going to have to call the fire trucks out to get this one damped down, and we could well see safety cars at Le Mans for the first time this year.
Yes, well, that's a fair bit of damage done to that car. I mean, that's written off completely now. And of course, there's the second big fire that we've seen here this weekend because of the car of Chris Goodwin, Thomas Bichir, and John Nielsen was burnt out after a qualifying. Well, it just ignited itself in the qualifying, and Chris Goodwin jumped out of the car. He was fine, but this car is also going very much the same way. And Alfonso, it's always a nasty sight to see, isn't it? A fuel fire like that.
Yeah, especially, you know, the racing authorities for many years, they've done a really good job on getting tanks that don't rupture. But I mean, that kind of impact, it's doubtful that a tank like that can hold. And I think that's going to burn for a while, because I mean, they just came into the pits before, so they've got a full tank of gas, and I just feel sorry for the team, but let's see what happens.
Yes, that's right. I mean, they were running so well, and we obviously haven't exactly seen what set that all off, what happened to him, how the accident occurred that did the damage to the back of the car. But whatever it was, dramatic way to go out of the race, and that means that the leader in GT2 will now become the Porsche of Jean-Pierre Jarier. That car's been running competitively all day, but not quite as quickly as this car, but it's been consistent so far, and it would mean that up into second place would come the number 84 Stadler Motorsport car of Enzo Calderari and Lilian Breiner, one of the two lady racers involved in the event this year. But a very, very sad sight indeed. The Chrysler Viper. We've still got a couple of Chrysler Vipers out there. The 61 car is in 25th position. That's the car of Beretta, Gash and Dupuis. And the number 60, the other 63 car is there as well, still running, but that's rather further down. But what a very, very sad sight that is indeed. The marshals doing an absolutely superb job to get it under control, and now they've got to try and get it off the track and get it out of everybody's way. But the end of the challenge for the 62 car.
I can understand. Okay, that's exactly what I thought would happen. Those Porsche curves, it's very, very slippery. As many people can probably recall, that's a new part of the track. It's the latest part that's been added on, apart from the chicanes that were added on in '93, if not mistaken. But what's happened is they're very slippery curves, and if there's any oil that goes on the track there, I mean, it's very hard to handle the car. And what he probably did is just accelerate too quickly, and the car just spun out, and that's it.
Such a shame. And Sohail Ayari, the French Formula 3 champion from last year, and getting into Le Mans racing, 24-hour racing. I'm not sure how much he'd actually done. I think it's fairly early on for him. And of course, it's one of the problems that we were talking about earlier, with many of the co-drivers not getting much opportunity to drive the cars over qualifying over the course of the last few days, because the important thing has been to just get the car into the race. And it makes me wonder whether Ayari really had a lot of chance to drive that car before the race.
Well, it's actually quite normal. What usually happens here at Le Mans, when the drivers come over, there's usually one driver that spends most of the time trying to set up the car properly, because if you have all three drivers trying to, you know, get the proper setup, you never get anything done. So one driver spends quite a bit of time doing that. Then each one's got to do a couple of qualifying laps, so that takes a bit of time out. So finally, when you finally get to drive, you know, you don't have that many laps. Oh my God, they're destroying the car. Well, it's destroyed anyway.
I think it's been finished. I don't think I'll worry about that. Yeah, that is a dead car, as they would say. That it's actually his second time he's been to Le Mans, but in fact he was only in pre-qualifying last year. Oh dear, and another big shunt. Now that's not the McLaren 44, is it? It looks as though that bodywork, the Lark car, it does look like the bodywork. That's the car that Gary Ailes is part of the team of. We think that certainly one of his teammates was out in that car. Let's take a look here at what has happened. You're looking at the car ahead, and he lost it by himself and went across the road and bang into the barriers on the inside there. A fairly hefty blow, although glancing it away, hopefully that it's obviously wrecked the bodywork and very badly damaged the car, but hopefully the driver will be out of that car okay. But disappointment for the Team Lark McLaren of Tsuchiya, Nakaya and Gary Ailes, and that really is, oh, we've had two major dramas in just a few moments here, but really, well, it's just the way it goes, I suppose, at Le Mans. 5 hours and 28 minutes now we've had, and suddenly everything comes alive. Yellow flags all over the place, and there the number 44 car after that very, very heavy impact against the Armco barrier.
Well, it looks like, I'm not sure if it's Tsuchiya, but he spun out a couple of hours, well, not even, about an hour ago. He did exactly the same thing, so we'll just see. He seems, well, I wonder if he's okay. He should be getting out of the car pretty soon, but it didn't look like he's in any health problems. No. Well, here they are cleaning the track. Like I said, it's a very slippery part of the track, so they definitely want to get it cleaned up, because if they don't, they're probably going to find themselves with a bit of problems, you know, of other cars passing by. But it seems to be, you know, the Le Mans drivers are people are really awake, and when they notice that something's out like that, they slow down and they're good. I mean, endurance racing is not your typical racing that just flat out. These are people that have a lot of experience. They've raced in many other things, and so when something like that happens, they keep their eyes open.
Nissan back into the pits once again, the number 22 car of Riccardo Patrese, but Sohail Ayari out, and the Ailes Japanese car out, the Team Lark McLaren.
He's out, so he's okay. He's walking about right there on the left.
Yeah,
so
driver over there on the left-hand side. It may be Nakaya, I'm not quite sure which one of those guys it is, but whoever it is, he's out of the car, he's safe, and that's the most important news. But obviously it's the end of the challenge for that particular car, and that's a great shame, because they were running in 12th position before that accident. Looked as though they were getting in for a good consistent run, and that's not the way it's going to be. So up front, still the two Works Porsches are leading really quite comfortably now, with still on the lead lap is the TWR Porsche of Stefan Johansson, Michele Alboreto and Tom Christensen, who's at the wheel at the moment, the Danish driver, having his real first taste of Le Mans. He's done a lot of endurance racing over in Japan, and the lights really now beginning to blaze their way around this track as light falls